Are you ready for a $10,000 XRP in 2026? Well, that is the latest price prediction from Jay Claver. We also have a $60,000 price prediction for Ethereum in 2026. I don't know if it's backwards day. We're going to get into it. I have a ton of other XRP related news. We did $50 million today in spot XRP ETFs. Are we going to hit $100 by the end of this month? Man, there's a lot to talk about. Let's just start with the elephant in the room.
End of Q2 2026 price prediction. I think by the end of 2026, early 2027, you're looking at a $10,000 XRP. Q2's hard to pin down. It's very dependent on what's live and what isn't, and how much volume is moving across the network in order to maintain price stability at those higher values. And it also depends on supply and demand dynamics between the ETFs and other applications where people are holding XRP. Treasury companies will be live at that point. Evernorth will be live. It's likely that we will have liquidity pools and pseudo accounts and borrow lend directly on chain live at that point. You may even have, a few other amendments that haven't even been proposed yet on the XRPL for compliance and other smart contract capabilities in place, which will drive even further demand for the asset and lock it up and, not have a ton of supply available on the market to settle all of these payments globally. So, there's just a ton of different components there to be able to pin that down. I think if I had to give a range, easily 4 digits, very confident in 4 digits, potentially 5 digits, but I'm going to say 5 digits comes toward the end of 26, early 27. And yes, I know I sound crazy. You guys can call me crazy. That's fine. I will take the heat. So again, not financial advice.
Not financial advice. That comes in at the end. All right, 4 digits, early 26, 5 digits, end of 26. Sounds like 26 will be our year. Hopefully. All right, here's the ETH price predictions.
Well, what does that mean for Ethereum's price? Well, I think Bitcoin's going to get to 250,000 within a few months. And if Ethereum price ratio to Bitcoin gets back to its 8-year average, that's $12,000 for Ethereum. I mean, that's a huge move. If it gets to the 2021 highs, that's $22,000 for Ethereum. But I think Ethereum is going to become the future of finance, the payment rails of the future. And if it gets to 0.25 relative to Bitcoin, that's 62,000. So I think Ethereum at 3,000, of course, is grossly undervalued.
Ethereum at 3,000 is grossly undervalued. I do think he's actually probably right here. Solana, Ethereum, XRP, I think it's all pretty much undervalued at this point. Chainlink, XLM. You could throw in a bunch of different assets here as you get regulation, as 401ks, as all of these things are going to be able to invest into these asset classes as the regulation is passed, hopefully early next year. This is all going to bring institutional and corporates into the crypto space. Imagine that every company in the world is going to have some type of crypto strategy, whether it is to actually buy and hold those cryptos for a future price appreciation, or whether to use crypto technology to move value, supply chain tracking, AI, whatever it is, the blockchain has it all. And those particular assets are going to be the best performing ones. All right, we did see individuals want access to the same liquidity as professionals. And then Wrath Economy says CME Europe head of retail and new XRP product. More recently, they launched a new range of contracts called spot quoted futures. They are available on 4 major US stock indices, as well as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and soon to extend to Solana and XRP. Just to give you some additional context here, this means that CME is adding regulated, easy to use XRP futures alongside Bitcoin and Ethereum and major equity indices, which is a meaningful step toward XRP being treated as a mainstream market infrastructure rather than a fringe altcoin. CME is rolling out spot quoted XRP futures contracts, which price tracks the live XRP spot price and trading a big futures premium or a discount. These sit at the same umbrella as spot quoted suites that already covers the S&P, NASDAQ 100, Russell 2000, Dow Jones, Bitcoin, and Ether, and as described as CME's smallest retail-friendly contracts. CME is also offering XRP and micro XRP futures and options, giving institutions and active traders multiple ways to get capital efficient exposure to XRP in a regulated environment. It does talk about implications for XRP liquidity and price discovery. Listing on CME usually deepens order books liquidity because hedge funds, prop shops, HFT firms, and other professional traders can now take XRP exposure via CFTC regulated venue they already use for equity indices rather than futures. Spot quoted design simplifies basis risk. The futures price hugs the crash. The spot quoted design simplifies basis risk. The futures price hugs the cash XRP price, while financing is handled in the contract mechanisms, which can tighten spreads between derivatives and spot markets and make arbitrage cleaner. More instruments, whether standard, micro, options, and now spot quoted, enable sophisticated strategies like delta hedging, volatility trading, and basis trades on XRP, which tend to improve overall market efficiency over time. All right, let's keep it going here. Smoke Dog has some documents to share about XRP becoming a tier 1 bank asset. Ripple already operates with 100+ banks, including a major tier 1 institutions covering about 80% of global trade corridors, providing the network functions at true global scale. Central banks across the world have openly discussed Ripple and XRP for integration, demonstrating institutional credibility, regulatory alignment, and system-level relevance. Central banks across the world have openly discussed Ripple and XRP for integration, demonstrating institutional credibility, regulatory alignment, and system-level relevance. This positions XRP within the scope of infrastructure considered suitable for tier 1 banking environments. Banks face high capital requirements under Basel III, locking up large amounts of funds during cross-border payments. XRP as a bridge asset helps tier 1 banks meet Basel III requirements by reducing the need for pre-funded Nostro accounts, freeing trapped capital and improving balance sheet efficiency. The combination of global bank adoption, central bank engagement, and Basel III aligned liquidity design is what positions XRP as truly a tier 1 ready asset or tier 1 ready bank asset. And this is just kind of highlighting some of the portions that I read, but I did want to bring up where this stuff was being pulled from, just to give you, to show you kind of what that was coming from in the documents there in live. Okay. And then here is, we covered this in an earlier video. This video probably will come out tomorrow on Wednesday. And Happy New Year's, guys. If you got any value, please hit like on the video. I'd really appreciate that. I hope you had a good 2025 and experience with this channel. I hope you're learning and growing, and soon you're going to be able to explain this to everybody in your family, and hopefully they'll be excited to learn and grow with you. All right, JP Morgan Payments has announced its partnership with Ripple G Treasury to improve a powerful netting solution for Franklin Electronic. The setup lets Franklin Electric $2.1 billion in revenue offset its global offices owe each other, slashing the number of payments, cutting bank fees and FX costs, and making reconciliations much easier. Owen Bilgelen, managing director, head of North America cross-currency solutions at JP Morgan, stated that together we're driving smarter, more cost-effective cross-border payments for our clients, with G Treasury handling smart calculations and JP Morgan executing the payments and currency exchanges. Franklin Electric now settles intercompany bills faster, cheaper, and with much less hassle. I also wanted to show you on the LinkedIn post by Owen Bilgelen. He said, G Treasury's industry-leading netting solution. Now you have JP Morgan highlighting Ripple's new acquisition, G Treasury, here as a leading netting solution for the industry. This is going to bring other use cases as well as other partnerships to the forefront. And JP Morgan sometimes clears $10 to $15 trillion a day. You start with one company and you prove the model, and then you expand to all kinds of others. Obviously, by midday on Tuesday, we saw about $20 to $30 million, and with 2 hours left, we went from $30 to $50 million for spot XRP ETFs. People are thinking something is about to happen in the XRP space, and I see a lot of posts by Mr. Claver saying that XRP is going to go to $100 before the end of the year. We just ended the stream that we did, live on YouTube and on X, where a lot of people were asking if I believe that is going to happen. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to $100 in the next 30 hours, but I would love to be wrong about that. I'd love to see Jake eventually get one of these price predictions correct. And I'm sure a lot of you at home would like to see that as well. XRP exchange supply hits an 8-year low. XRP supply on exchanges fell to 1.6 billion, down from 3.76 billion on October 8th. Levels not seen since 2018. Is a 2026 supply shock brewing? This is what could send XRP's price truly to the levels that Jake was talking about here in this clip. If XRP's available supply drops to like 100 million or 50 million tokens on exchanges, the market cap multiplier that would follow would be truly incredible. Let's hope that all of that does play out and we continue to see XRP's price start to explode. RLUSD monthly independent assertion for November is now live with some recent updates. RLUSD hits its 1-year anniversary, ending an incredible year as a top 5 US dollar stablecoin in record time. US OCC granted conditional approval for Ripple's National Trust Bank, allowing RLUSD to operate under federal and state oversight, a new benchmark for stablecoin compliance. RLUSD expands to new chains via Wormhole, launching across leading layer 2s Optimism Base, Inc. on-chain, and Unichain. Abu Dhabi's FSRA greenlisted RLUSD, unlocking collateral use across exchanges and prime brokerages and platforms like AD Global Market. Gemini adds support for RLUSD, expanding on the XRP ledger. We also have some more fun coming our way. Let's play it.
So ETH, where most of the activity is, Solana, which has a huge amount of growing stablecoin activity. Link, I could see as, supplying the oracles for a lot of not only stablecoins, but RWAs as they continue to grow. So kind of get that. The XRP one, I really just still don't get. It's more centralized than all the other providers. They only have 35 validators. They're slower. They run at like 20 TPS. And they have a stablecoin on top of them, but all these other stablecoins have much more liquidity. So like that one, I'm not really sure about. I think it's still like a banking meme coin, but the others totally make sense.
Who's heard of Vari's Capital? What is this, a real person? Does he have a real institution? Because I've never heard of it. 20 TPS. Of course, the guy, Scott Melker. Look at this smirk and smile. What this guy is saying, it makes him happy. Scott Melker will say and do anything negatively about the XRP space, but he will go around and post XRP news on his channel because he is, in fact, a Muppet. Look at the cartoon. He's a cartoon. Everything that he does is negative about XRP, and then he goes and tries to post XRP content for clicks and views on his channel.
To me, I think they're great ways to play not only stablecoin adoption, but RWA proliferation in the next few years.
So how do you...
Sorry, people I don't take very seriously, I call them Muppets, right? Cartoons, characters. I guess you need the inside knowledge about why I do that. But all right, guys, Happy New Year's. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for being here. If you got any value, please like, share, comment down below. Let me know what you think about these two cartoons. All right, peace out.